Hey, Poke.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How the devil are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Welcome to episode 3.
Episode 3!
Already.
Whoop, whoop. Third episode of the Britcast podcast. And we're kind of figuring out what the hell we're doing, right? We're kind of getting there.
I feel like we're starting to know what we're doing.
We're starting to know what we're doing. We've even managed to sync this recording. What a treat.
It's going to take so much out of the edit.
What a treat. So this week we've gone for a different thing, haven't we? We've gone for a different idea this week, just for this episode, where we have some questions from people that were in our streams earlier, and we thought we might go ahead and answer them.
Have a little talk about what the people want to know.
Have a little talk about that. So that's kind of where we're pushing this week. Also doubles as a get to know us a bit better, bit of history, introduction, if you like, to us as peoples. We are people.
Humans.
Good humans.
Humans.
Yeah, humans.
So yes, there was some good questions came from the community. Some origin story questions.
Everybody loves a good origin story, right?
We do like a little bit of that.
Wolverine's was the best. Everyone loves a nice origin story.
Well, did you just say Wolverine's was the best?
Yeah, Wolverine's origin story is definitely the best.
Because he's old, like you.
Like me, with olds.
That's the basis of his origin story. Is he had bones for...
He had adamantium bones.
No, that's...
Oh, he had the bony mutant thing first, and then they gave him adamantium bones.
Bony mutant.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
No, his isn't the best.
I did. Well, whose is the best then? Who have you got? Tell me.
I'm struggling to think.
Exactly. So that means that
Spider-Man was better, but I don't think Spider-Man was the best. But he was definitely better. Also, Batman was built out of spite. Yeah. He's angry, so he spite killed everyone. That's better.
I'm a fan of the original concept of Iron Man is that Stan Lee wanted to create a character that people shouldn't like, but would end up liking.
He was deeply flawed.
I like that because that's me.
I was going to say, I associate myself
I feel
with Iron Man more than any other character in it. Yeah, he's sarcastic. He's kind of cocky.
Yeah, and when he goes into a project, he goes all in, right? Like all in. You know, like I've figured this out. I love that. That's I don't like his origin story. It's Pap that he built his suit in a cave because obviously Wolverine's is better. But I like
Wolverine doesn't have a suit though, and if he did, it would be made out of yellow spandex.
He wears his suit on the inside.
He wears an inside suit.
He's got an inside suit.
His metal suit's an innie.
He's got an innie suit. Yeah, and I think that's lovely.
No, bad.
It's lovely and I like it. So that's a wonderful thing that we've now worked out. That Wolverine's origin story is obviously the best. Nailed it.
Right. Okay. We're gonna.
So we've got a list of questions. There's a list of questions that you can't see that I can see. Tell me which one of those do you want to answer first? Ask the question, and then I'll ask you the same one.
I can see these questions. Hold on. I'm gonna pick a good one.
Go on, I'm ready.
I'm literally going to pick the first one. Where did your passion for gaming begin? That was cheap, wasn't it?
But that was number one. That was really cheap, but let's roll with it. Where did my passion for gaming begin? Escapism. That came from escapism. Without getting too deep into it, I enjoyed escapism as a child. I needed to get out of my living situation, and I started gaming. I started with Sonic. Well, I started with Doom, but Sonic is the first game I remember where I was like, I love this. I need this as a thing.
The original Sonic
the Hedgehog on the Sega Mega Drive. It was called the Genesis outside of Europe, but the original Sonic the Hedgehog was my passion builder. It was the first game that I ever wanted to beat. You remember that feeling when you got a game and you're like, I just want to beat it. I just have to beat it. And when I beat it, I wanted to do better than I was doing previously. And that's where it started for me. Absolutely where it started for me. And it was a steamroll since then. I was like, what, 7, 8 years old, something like that, I think, when the Mega Drive came out. And
when did the Mega Drive come out? In the
early 80s,
I think, right?
No, I don't think it was that early. Jesus, I'm not Wolverine. But the way I come from a poor background. I was raised with my feet in the mud, as I like to say. But one of the guys that had a holiday home in the little village I grew up in bought a Mega Drive for something to do. And he came around the house one night and he was like, I've got my kids are up, with a does your boy want to come around and play the Mega Drive, which was perfectly normal in a small village, right? So
yeah, and it was the 80s, so that's normal.
Exactly. So I went round, and his lads were my age, and I think he was trying to get his kids a friend, and whatever. I don't really mind, but that's what ended up happening. But
you made this sound so much weirder than it actually
I didn't intend to, but here we are.
Super weird. Creepy man from up the road invited you to play with his kids. See, it's weird. You've made it odd.
I think you made it weirder than I did, but now we're sitting in it. So here we are. Let's just live our best lives. But the point of this being, when he left, he didn't want to take the Mega Drive. He came around the house and he left it at my house. He left me the box with the Mega Drive. He literally handed me a Mega Drive, which was an expensive piece of kit at that time. And I remember
an amazing thing for a kid to have got.
Mate, it was like all my Christmases had arrived at once. It was absolutely spectacular for me. So he brought it around and he gave me that, and it had Sonic and Golden Axe and a game called Commandos, and that's how that started. I battered them. I absolutely battered them as games. I really did.
Okay, so this is going to define you as a person. So when you played Golden Axe, who did you play as?
The dwarf.
Dude, that was the dwarf. Every single time.
I loved his special. You know, the lightning thing?
Yeah,
that was
down all the lightning.
I like the dwarf. And he did the thing where he did the 2 swings and then the like bop on the head, like 3 bops on the head. And yeah, that's where it went. Sonic the Hedgehog, which led into Sega Mega Drive game. I played so much of those that I just got, it's not even addiction at that point. Not as we define it now, but it was a deep wanting to play those games. You know, I would come home from school and I was like, I just want to do that. I just want to do that. And it never really changed. And because it got me out of my head for a bit, it stuck, you know. So yeah,
Golden Axe was the Fortnite of its time.
Oh my God. How dare you? How dare you? So tell me your story, Poke. Where did your passion for gaming begin?
I'm from gaming stock. My mum was a big gamer when I grew up. I remember because I've got an older brother, so he had an Atari 2600, I think it was, something like that I remember playing, but it wasn't really like I'd play it, but I wouldn't really get into it that much. And I remember the day that my brother found out that my mum had a secret Master System.
Oh,
yeah. They got it. We found out the day they got it. It's not like she held this thing over us for 6 months, but she bought it and he heard them playing it in my mum's bedroom.
Yeah,
and freaked out about it. And obviously, me being the younger brother, I start freaking out because my brother freaked out. And because she had that, she tended to get games that were good, and that drew me into it. And that's why I've got a big love for. I know Phantasy Star was a game that she bought for her that I still play fairly regularly. I think that was 1986 that came out, and I still play that every now and then. And Sonic, obviously Sonic
was mega. It was absolutely mega, right?
Sonic is the first game that I remember completing. And my mum was telling me recently that Sonic 3, I think it was on the Master System. It was the Crystal Chronicles or Crystal something. Crystal Chronicles is a Final Fantasy game, but the Crystal something or the Emerald something. She said that she bought it on like the Monday and then went back on the Tuesday to the same store and said, look, have you got any other games? Because he's completed it. And I was like 6 at the time. And the guy was blown away by the fact, he's like, no, you must mean he completed a level. She's like, no, he's finished his game. You need to get another one, please. And that sort of story that my mum told me was kind of linked into exactly how I love it. And that's why the Master System's still my favorite console. If I could only have one console for the rest of my life, I'd choose that and sit on the desert island somewhere.
Fair win.
Yeah.
Did you have the one with Alex Kidd built in or the one with tennis built in?
I had the old original big slab keyboard size one that had
I remember that
had like from what I remember had like a maze game where you was a snail, and then we upgraded to a Master System 2 which had Alex Kidd in Miracle World, I think it was. Yeah,
I believe that was the case. Yeah,
hell out of that as well. And the Wonder Boy games, the Wonder Boy games, they were so good.
Yeah, you can still get them all on the Steam emulator.
Just remade the Wonder Boy 3, which was my favorite game of all time. Wonder Boy 3 Dragon's Trap.
But that's a win.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. They're remaking a lot of my favorite games.
I used to like those old platformer styles. I miss them sometimes because they're not popular anymore, right?
Yeah, not in the way that not the platformers in the way that they were. Now you got some really good platformers like Ori, but that's not the same. It's a little too fancy.
It doesn't feel the same to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm older and I can't suspend belief as much, you know.
Yeah, those side-scrolling games that were like that, like the Streets of Rage and stuff like that.
The Streets of Rage,
Streets of Rage. I think
Streets of Rage 4 is coming out. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. If it holds true, it's going to be amazing. I'm excited for that because I love those games.
That looks like the what I've seen of it looks amazing. So yeah, no, we should.
It really does. It really does. I'm all in. I'm all in.
Oh, if there's some multiplayer, we need to grab up some time to play that then.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, as long as I get to be Axel.
That's fine because I always like the boxer whose name eludes me at this current point.
That's the blonde guy. I'd always be the blonde guy.
No, the guy in the yellow shirt. The boxer was my guy. I can't remember what his name is off the top, but yeah, him. I liked him.
Fair enough. I mean, we won't have to fight.
He's my dude.
He's my dude.
Well, we will have to fight, but not each other at least.
Well, there is that. So that's where your passion came from. That's where my passion came from.
That's where it came from, mate. That's where it started. Escapism and beautiful Mega Drive games. That's where mine came
Weirdly,
from.
my when I look back, my streaming passion comes from the same place as my gaming passion. I've told people this.
Couch co-op.
Well, no, I've told people this a couple times on stream in the past, is that the first time I ever streamed a game in my mind was not on a streaming platform and was probably 20 years before streaming was a thing, or 15 years before streaming was a thing. Whereas I was playing Resident Evil 2 in my bedroom, just sat on my bed playing it. And my mum came in and sat on the bed next to me and watched me play it for about an hour and a half, which is the first time I ever streamed a game. I just did it in a very analog way.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like when you used to get your mates around and you're excited. You're like, go watch this, And you remember you used to swap controllers every life, things like that?
No, friends.
You never get that luxury?
I had my mum.
Oh, well. You not give her the controller?
No way.
I remember watching my mum try to play Sonic. It was embarrassing.
My mum's not great at games, but she does go. But my mum would still play. I remember playing Super Monaco Grand Prix with my mum. She would play all sorts of different games. We had that Mega CD. We had that, and she'd play Echo the Dolphin. She drove my.
Oh, that game. We don't mention that game
not?
ever again, ever. Because that game broke my life. It absolutely broke my life. I spent hours trying to beat a big mechanical octopus and couldn't work out what I was supposed to be doing.
You had to nudge it with your nose or shoot Echo Blast at it.
Yeah.
Because that's all Echo could do. You
had to do both those things. Yeah. And it ruined my life.
Those two options.
I'm not talking about it. Just ruined my life.
We'll move away from it.
Mate, it's responsible for me switching to PC.
Really?
Let's go with that.
Oh, I'd like to see maybe you play this on stream at some point then to sort of get it out your system.
Well, I think you can get that on the Sega emulator as well,
on
right?
the Mega Drive.
I'm pretty sure it's on the Sega Mega Pack.
That pack thing. Yeah, no, you should get it, and I'll happily watch you.
I should get it, and we could have like a ritual burning.
Is that that's what it's going to go down as? Okay.
Yeah, ritual burning. Right, question number 2. Okay. I'm picking for you. Let's go for
in the wheel.
I want to know if you ever played games just for fun and not
anymore.
Streaming, and if so, are they different?
Not anymore. I got no time.
Yeah, this is going to be the quickest question we have.
I've tried to carve out some time, like once a month, to play games, but it
just doesn't work, right?
I don't have kids like you, so it's not like I have a little bit more time, but very, very rarely. I think the problem is when you decide that streaming is going to be your career, then it's not your hobby anymore, so you lose your hobby time, because anytime that I'm streaming, I'm gaming, I should be streaming, or I should be recording for YouTube, or there's a million and one things I should
be doing something else that can help it all work. Yeah.
If I do cut some time out, then I end up playing games like Minecraft or because it's a game that I don't have to think about. I can just play it, and if I have 5 minutes to play it, I can walk away and there's no problem. So a game like Minecraft, which I quite like Minecraft. I've traditionally played it quite a lot. I used to play it with my nephew. So I've got quite a few hours into it. Management sims, so SimCity type games, Frostpunk type games.
Yeah, I get that. My guilty passion is a Total War game. That's my little cutie offline passion when I get a chance. But
it's finding that time. It's finding that time that you've.
The only time I really get is like on a Saturday. I play games with my kids. Like I'll play Mario Kart on the Switch, or we'll play Just Dance or something like that.
I would pay such big money to see you play Just Dance. I would like to see you wobble around.
200 subs, mate. 200 subs I'll do a Just Dance stream.
2 subs, you will. 2 subs, you will Just Dance on stream in a tutu.
200 subs, I will do. In a tutu? I haven't worn a tutu.
I know you already own one, so.
Mine won't fit anymore.
Just a pink morph suit.
Yeah, that was it. That's exactly as you said, mate. Once you start streaming, the hobby goes away. We do not just play video games, no matter what the outside factors believe. I'm afraid that's not the case.
I'm gonna get my gamer feel from the stream. I don't feel like I'm missing out from it.
Well, that's it. Nor do I at all. Go pick another question. That one was
very short and sweet. Where are we? So
it's been edited down, so they're all clear.
I've completely gone off of that list. I'm on my own list. I'm going rogue.
Going rogue.
Completely going rogue. How did you find streaming? How did you fall into streaming?
My friend Tojam put me into it.
Tojam from Twitch.
Tojam from Twitch, the guy I was streaming with tonight. He's been on Twitch for, I believe he's 3 years in now. He always told me I should do it. Now, I knew about, let me preface this with a bit of background. I knew about streaming with Justin TV. I would watch Counter-Strike tournaments in particular, because I was big into Counter-Strike when I was younger. I would watch the tournaments on Justin TV, and I always wanted to start, I suppose, from those days. But my friend, whose opinion I trusted far too much at the time, talked me out of it. Multiple occasions talked me out of it, and I believed him.
Did he give you a reason on why he talked you out of it? Was it just he was losing his friend to something bigger?
That was the gist of it, but the reasons were always more deep seated about how it wasn't the right time, or your hardware wasn't quite right, or all the doubts that people put out when they're talking about starting streaming. He would put them in me.
That's not someone you want around in your life.
That's why they're not around in my life anymore. I mean, this man was best man at my wedding in the end, but when it came to me actually starting streaming, ToeJam had really hit me with it. He was like, "You got to do this. You have the personality, you have the gameplay levels, you're invested enough, you're knowledgeable enough. You need to do this." And I looked around a bit and I researched a bit, and I thought, you know what? I think I do have those things. I think I can make that work once you get over the obvious, hurdles and roadblocks. And I did a couple of streams. I did 6 months on Twitch initially, and mate, I love it. I just fell in love with it. You must have this, right? That level of passion that gets into you where you're like, this is what I want to do. This is what I was supposed to do.
This is what you were supposed to do.
This isn't eating a bag of Maltesers in the fridge because you feel like you want it. This is something in the pit of your stomach that wakes you up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I need to get after this. I need to do more to make it bigger because this is my thing. And I love it. I haven't worked a day since I started streaming, apart from the bouncer crap that I have to do on the weekends. But outside of that, I don't want to say living the dream, but that is basically what I'm doing. That's how I got started into it. And then I got hooked, and bang, here we are. How about you? Tell me.
I used to watch, because I came to this very late, really. I didn't know Justin TV, didn't know any of that, didn't know Twitch. I was watching a few videos on YouTube, and I thought I could do this, specifically things like Rooster Teeth and those sort of group dynamic videos based at
the more production stuff.
The achievement hunter, you've got a group of guys just messing about, and I think I can mess about with the best of them. I'm pretty good at coming up with things on the fly as a joke.
You definitely have that gift.
And I was at work with a couple of guys who seemed like they were very much into it as well. And we all had Xboxes, and I went out and bought a capture card, and I already had some equipment beforehand. Like I had my Yeti mic. I had that already because of the animation stuff that I was working on beforehand. So I grabbed up my stuff, went and invested a little bit more in some extra bits, and they flaked completely. And every time I tried to get them to record something, they'd either flake out, or we'd arrange to go to one of our houses. We'd all get there, and then nothing would get recorded because they just mess around, or a small technical issue would come up and it just blow the night out. And I got really, really frustrated and sort of walked away from the entire project. And that's where the name SwordofPoke came from, is that it was going to be a collective. That's why my email address is SwordofPoke Mike on some things that I use. And then I started playing Destiny just normally with a group of people, and I'd never really played online with people before Destiny. I'd never met anyone online because I was quite new to PC gaming and that side of things. And the more I played with them, the more people would say, "Oh, you should do a YouTube channel. You're really funny." And then I'd be messing about exactly the same as I am on stream. I'd just be messing about in group chat with everyone. And then one of the guys I saw was streaming on Twitch, and he had 40 total views. And I was thinking, well, I can definitely beat that. I don't want to beat it today, but I can definitely do that. So I grabbed my old laptop, and it had its own webcam built into it. So I propped that up on books so it didn't overheat, and I plugged my mic into it, and I had a poster board, poster paper, green poster paper for a green screen. I had that all propped up, taped together behind me. And yeah, just cracked on with it, and had the most ghetto setup that anyone's had for about 6 months. And I was on Twitch for about 18 months before moving over to Mixer.
Do what you can with what you have, right?
I've always been of the opinion that you maximize what you have, and then you increase your quality of what you have as you go. And I started off with a webcam off of a laptop. Upgraded to the C920. Now we've got the DSLRs. It's slowly, and it's taken me. I've been doing this for 4.5 years to go from laptop to what is a professional setup now. But I got there, and I got there. If I'd have waited to get this stuff, I'd be starting out day one now, and I wouldn't know what I was doing. So it wouldn't be worth having all of this stuff. I'm very much for that opinion.
Yeah. Some of the strongest advice you ever get is just start. Just get on with it. Just hit the button.
It terrified me. It terrified me to put the camera on.
Yeah.
I hated the idea of putting a webcam on, and then I had a few people come into the channel that I used to have a scrolling say hi to me thing at the bottom, and I had it must have been just a group of guys that were probably waiting for their stream to start that they normally watch, or they just finished the stream that they'd normally watch. And I think about 8 to 10 people came in at once, and my numbers jumped up from 1 to 10, and they all started saying hi, and they all started talking to each other, and it sort of came across a little bit like they were making fun of me. So I turned the stream off, just turn it off, ran away. So that's, but if you don't start and if you don't have these moments, you can't get over these moments. And that went away 10 minutes, and it was like, okay, they're probably gone now. Start the stream up again. And then, like, you're always trying to gain all those viewers.
Yeah, I remember those.
You're desperately trying to cling to that extra 1 or extra 2. I got a bunch and ran away.
Then you get them and panic. Yeah, you get them and panic. I remember being so sweaty after my first couple of streams. Like so anxious, so sweaty. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was nervous. And I mean, I have the advantage of coming from the bouncer side, where I stand in front of 1,500 people a weekend. You know, I'm used to it in that role. But the idea of doing it when you're so vulnerable, I think because gaming is something I love, to be able to try and show that to someone. Yeah, it's like when you're showing your parents a picture when you're a kid. And you're like, you know, I did this.
You're not sure
that's
how
kind of how
judged.
Streaming felt, you know. It's like I did this exactly, and you're vulnerable because it's something that's extremely dear to you. You know, people, one of the things that streamers all have in common is we all love video games, right? We all love video games, and most of us like playing the Fool to a degree. And I think it makes you quite raw when you're doing that. You're like, you know, these are the things I love. This is as close to my actual real personality as I like people to get.
You're very open, you're very exposed to the world, and when you're starting and you haven't gained that thick skin, and as you said, you came from being a bouncer, and I've worked in bars, and I've done sales. I'm used to negative feedback, so I'm used to people. But this is different. That's they might be drunk and say stuff to you. They might say bad things about the bar, but these are people that are saying stuff about you individually. It's
personally, and what you like, and you can't hide
whether
from
you're
it.
good at the game, and whether you're good at streaming. All of those things that sort of are there is a key part of me is that I like to think I'm good at games. So when people come in and tell me I'm not good at games, of course that's gonna affect you, especially when you hadn't developed that ability. You think, well, this person's not insulting me; they're just being insulting because they're an idiot.
Well, that's the streamer switch, right? Like you said, when you get to the professional level, as you like to think, when you're taking it seriously, and you learn that part of that is we'll call it asset management, but it's not quite what I mean. You know, but that's the big trick to it, right? But on the same side of that coin, I would like to make the point that this is something that has been with me for 26 years. This isn't going away because some ratbag tells me I'm bad at it.
Yeah,
you get me? That's not a thing. More people tell me I'm good at it than tell me I'm bad at it.
Or we talk about more the negative people, the people who come in and call you trash, the people who come in and say you suck. But for every one person that comes in and says that I'm trash, I get 200 people come in and are just genuinely care about what I'm going to say, or want to spend some time with you. Yeah, I care about them. So it's the benefits of this far outweigh the negative.
My stream is a big couch. I've said this forever, right? I believe in. I miss the days of sitting on the couch with my brothers, with my family, with my friends, playing games. You know, when you're knocking each other over with your elbow and joshing about and that silliness. And that's how I see my stream. And if you get some sort of flipper that comes in and decides he's going to ruin what you're doing on the couch, well, he's just going to get kicked off the couch, right? And it's not going to matter. You know, you're not going to spoil the fun. And I think it works that way. We're all in the same cooking pot, just trying to have a good time. So, you know, people trying to ruin it, they don't matter too much. They don't matter.
I agree. Okay.
Sneezing, hang on. You can edit that out if you want, but I blocked half of it. No, I blocked it. It's fine. It's fine. You're just going to get that. No, you're not getting the big noise. Nobody gets that. Okay. That's stream exclusive. Snapchat Premium. What's it called? Snapchat. I don't know. That thing.
Sneezes.
Premium Snapchat sneezing. Yeah, that's going to be
sub only, obviously.
Right. What else have we got here? How did you grow your stream? That's a thing.
Can do that.
You want to go down there
to talk about how I grew my stream? I mean, I don't know the answer. It just sort of happened over time while I wasn't paying attention.
It kind of just happened.
No,
yeah. The 10 people that came in didn't talk.
There's a couple of ways I think that you grow your stream. Or how I've grown my stream. I look at this very analytically, and I look for trends, and I hopefully work a lot harder than I look like I'm working on the stream. I aim to look like I'm not trying, while at the same time heavily trying to make sure I place myself in the right way. I gained partnership on Mixer based off the fact that I saw there was a game that was losing popularity that shouldn't be losing popularity, and I can position myself well within it, and that was Overwatch. This was before the takeover of BRs, and everyone sort of had played it and started moving along. But what they were moving on to, I saw as temporary games that weren't really ready to be moved on. There were some people playing things like H1Z1 and those sort of games that just were, I didn't see them as sustainable at the time. And time has showed that they're better versions of that game style has come out. And that's how I gained popularity. But I've always said that my success of what I've achieved is because I've managed to trick some really, really interesting, really, really cool people into hanging out with me. And because I hang out with cool people, people think I'm cool. And I've always said that's the trick to it. And I've got a community based around because I care about the people that hang out and they seem to care about me. That's welcome new people in. And I think that in itself is the key. If you can position yourself well within directories, well within the games that are relatively popular, but not necessarily Fortnite, you can gain this community that will just sort of snowball itself along. If you care about what you've got, other people will see that and they will join in.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I believe you build a place where people can belong. That's the trick to this.
You're building a big couch. I've always seen
building a big couch.
I want to hang out with my friends. That's what my stream is. I'm their friend. I don't necessarily see it as a fan base, which especially when I'm playing some of the games for younger people, Fortnite and those sort of games, I get a lot of questions like, do you play with your fans? And that always gives me a weird reaction because they're not. They're just people I hang out with every day, which is what friends are. just hanging out with people who I like. Yeah, and that attitude, I think, is key.
I'd agree with that. You can't get an ego. You can't get an ego at all. You're not that. I like a group of like-minded people to hang around, which is absolutely what the stream is. I'm building the couch, and the game is the Doritos. So the game is what will draw them over, and then they'll sit down, and then we play. And
it's the conversation starter. That's what the game is.
Yeah, that's it. It's the conversation starter, and it's a way to get the eyeballs on you. So business-wise, you play the directories, and in many ways, I think that if you want to, it depends what your end goal is. I want a solid community of people around me that we can go on and do great things and play some great games and have some great experiences. That's what I want. I don't necessarily just want the highest metrics in the world on the platform or anywhere else. But, that's not to say, let me preface all of this by saying I don't know anything. Right. I got here by a series of small things that worked rather well and happening upon some good people got really along lucky. The way. That's
because that's what it is. But you position yourself in the way you behave, in the way you literally position yourself in different games to up your chances of that luck.
Yeah, that seems to be the trick to it, right?
Yes.
You line your ducks up. That's how I see it. Stack as many ducks in your favor as you possibly can. Happens upon some good people and hold them to you. Make sure you've got good mods that share your values. Make sure that they understand what the goal is. People need to understand what you're trying to do, because we're not just sitting here and playing games. That's not what it's about. We have a mission statement. You know roughly what it is you're trying to achieve. I'm trying to build a community of people that like the escapism of coming along and playing some games with someone. And, I guess it's the big brother thing as well to a level. I guess there's a bit of that. I get you get a few people along the way that tend to look up to you. And, you get the people, like you said, that you care about them. You do look after them. If you can help them, you help them, and it becomes that. It's not necessarily a big
kumbaya crop circle thing. You can't spend the amount of time that we spend with people and not care about them.
And not care about them. Exactly that. Thank you. That summarizes it beautifully. That's how it comes to. These are people I care about, and we're just kind of finding others as we frolic along. It's the Wizard of Oz story, mate, and we're skipping down the yellow brick road, gathering the Tin Men and the Broken Lion. Yeah, I think that covers that, right?
Yes.
What else should we put into this list?
On here?
What happened in your lives to lead you to this moment?
That was really deep. I mean, nothing.
That's real
nothing
deep.
bad.
We get.
I had some idiot.
It was all bad
idiot
for me,
friends who were flaky. Flaky friends, yeah. And you just want to look after people.
Yeah, my story is a lot darker, and it's not really for this, but it is fundamentally, it runs in, I have always liked looking after people, and that is something that I can do, and a common interest is games.
Yeah.
That's how it comes down to. That's it. That's the fundamentals. I like looking after people. I've done that through bouncing. I do it through this. I've done it in all my life.
There's a lot of people in the world that don't have a place to be them, and they have to be. They have to be someone else in real life, so they can't be confident.
I want them to,
but they can be them here.
And I want them to get away from that.
And that's what it is for us as much as anything else. And your story's far darker than mine. But my friends aren't gamers necessarily in the real world. They weren't people who were into that, so I wasn't able to have that outlet with them. Whereas I come here and this was a place where I felt like I can be me, genuinely me. My sense of humor, like everyone's sense of humor, isn't for everyone. But I can find people who are like me, who have that sense of humor, and we can make each other laugh. And a lot of what I want to build myself around is that humor and that place that you can have where you can just come and chill out and be you and don't have to feel judged and everyone's going to be welcome.
Yeah, you can leave the bad stuff at the door, right? You can come for a bit and just pop it at the door because we can't see it on your face. You know, we're taking the conversation at face value. That's not to say you can't sense when something's wrong with someone that you spend 5 hours a night with. You know, you can still sense it, but
you've got a chance of making that better.
It's like, what if you came here and left it at the door and just give me a chance to make you laugh, make you giggle. I might do something stupid, you know. There might be a moment in the game that just makes us all laugh together, you know. And I think that's beautiful in itself, right? You can have a room with 30 people in it, and to someone looking in from the outside, that's just a list of names. It doesn't mean anything.
Every single one.
I'm sure we've all had the but yeah, I know their lives. I know what they do. I know how their day's been. I know that if they just got up, if they're going to bed. You know, this is stuff that you learn to know. And like I think you hit the nail on the head, where you become invested in these people and they become invested in you, and you do genuinely care about it. And you make a little place where you can hang out, and you know, none of the bad stuff matters because it can't get you in here, you know?
This is our bubble.
This is the bubble. Yeah, it's our bubble. And you're welcome in the bubble if you're going to try and fit in with it. You know, not in a you must conform
if someone
sense,
comes in trying to ruin it.
But don't try and come and ruin it. Yeah, then that doesn't happen, you know. And I think that's what leads you to streaming. That's what leads me here. I've always wanted to look after people. This is my bubble. This is our little castle. We can live in here and we can play games together, and for a couple of hours a night, we can escape the crap boss, the boring job, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, I can in the process, I can prove to you that if you want to change your cards, if you want to change your fortunes, you can do it, because I'm living proof of it. You know, I'm right in front of you. I've come from a crap upbringing. I've been bouncing nightclubs for 11, 12 years. 2 years ago, I made a hard decision that I was going to get out of it. And here I am on the cusp, the very, very brink of being able to do what you've done and pull the trigger and go full time.
It's all about the community that's allowed that, though. The community have allowed me to do it. It's the community that,
of course, it is. It's nothing. Exactly. Yeah. It's people that want to see you succeed because they care. You know, they want you to succeed. And that's that, mate. You're not getting that anywhere else. Well, not anywhere else that I know of, anyway. So where are we going next? We need a light-hearted one. Pick a light-hearted question.
Deep. I started thinking too much. Got really pensive towards the end.
We went down a deep hole there. Now my brain's gone funny. Get us out of this hole. What's your favourite game? What's your favourite
I've been asked this 8 times this week, and every single time I don't know what to answer it. You can't ask me what my favourite game is.
Okay.
You can ask me what my favourite shooter is. You can ask me what my favourite RPG game is. You can ask me the favourite game to play on my own. My favourite game to play with friends. There's no favourite game.
What's the game that gave you the most satisfaction to finish?
I think really that Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap. Mm-hmm. That one gave me a lot. But then Phantasy Star, I played Phantasy Star when I was 5 probably, and I didn't beat it till I was in my 20s. So I played it on an emulator and finally got to the end. I didn't know there was an end. I didn't know the story was finalized in the way it was. So either of those two I could happily call my favorite game. But then Resident Evil's and then Final Fantasy 7. There's too many games. Too many games that I love.
Mine's Metal Gear Solid.
I knew you were going to say Metal Gear Solid.
My favorite game of all time is Half-Life, the original Half-Life, the orange box. But the game that gave me the most satisfaction, hands down, was Metal Gear Solid.
So what about Doom? Because the reason why I played Doom is because you told me it was the best game you've ever played, and
The original Doom or the remake of Doom?
I played the remake of Doom, but you said that Doom was your favorite game.
Doom was the one that made it happen. So the first game I remember consciously playing was Doom, and I played it in a cupboard at my cousin's house because that's where his computer was. That was Doom on floppy disk.
You didn't play a game before Doom?
Not that I can remember. That doesn't mean I didn't. But I remember, like I said, I came from a poor family. I didn't have my own hardware, so the only time I came across hardware was if I went to a friend's house that had it. I was given all my hardware. So I was given a Nintendo to borrow. I was given the Mega Drive, like I said, by the neighbor. I was given a PC by the school when they upgraded from BBC microcomputers to Windows 3.1 machines. They gave me the BBC computer. Now, I didn't understand why at the time because I didn't know who my dad was. But it turns out my dad's company had donated those computers to the school in the first place.
Ah, okay.
So it was kind of a bring it on back thing.
Does that not give
but
you
that
complete
was that.
faith in people again when you think about that sort of things?
When you look back at it, I have faith in everybody else apart from the people that were around
the people
me.
you should have had faith in were clearly not the
that was
strongest.
unnecessary. But there have been many times in my life, right? I remember playing in an arcade. I was playing Tekken. I don't remember which Tekken, but I remember playing Tekken. And we were at a service station, and I was on my way to a foster home, and they stopped for a bit so they could go to the toilet and get the McDonald's. And because when you're a foster kid, foster parents, not all of them, but the majority of the ones I've seen don't care very much for the kids in their care. So you're kind of left alone. And I was, when you're playing on the arcade machine, but you haven't got any money to put in it, and you just kind of imagining that you're playing.
Yeah, we've all done that. Yeah, we've all been on the insert coin.
I was doing that, and a guy came across and just put a pound in the machine and smiled and walked off. And
that's like the sweetest story.
Those little moments are the best things that ever happen in your life.
I just want to walk around arcades when you were a kid.
Out now. We'll do it then.
There's no arcades anymore. It's 2019.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't. But find a way, man. These things, they matter.
These random acts of kindness. Random
acts of kindness are what makes the world work, because it doesn't work without them.
I believe in that.
It's when somebody's walking out the club and they've got toilet roll stuck on their shoe. Rather than calling them out and making them embarrassed, you just put your foot on the toilet roll, let them walk off, and it stays there. Those little things, I think, are what make the world go round. And that comes through in your streaming stuff. It really does. If you've got someone that's not having a great time and you just send them a DM and like, hi, how you doing? Or you do a community night where you take precedent. That person's like, why don't you come play games? What have you got? What have you got? We'll play it. I don't mind. Let's just do it. That's this life. That's what this is about. Is helping people, paying it forward, making sure that they understand that this is your place. You're part of it. Let's all have some fun with it.
You're a big old bear of a man. You're a big old softie.
Yeah, I know, but don't tell anyone, right? It's not like this is going out on the internet.
Not like anyone's gonna listen to this. You're all right.
It's not like anyone's gonna listen to this podcast. All right, go. What was the other question? Mixer.
Why Mixer?
Okay, business side. Let's be straight for a minute. I have a business mind that works as well as anyone else's. That's why I am where I am in this world. And Mixer was a easier place to grow. There was more space to do what I wanted to do. Initially, that's changed. That's the business side. That's it. It's quite as simple as that. I was listening a lot to the Professor Broman podcast. A lot of what he was saying was take the smaller platforms, YouTube Gaming, Facebook, Mixer. I looked at all three. Facebook wasn't for me. Didn't like using my real name too much. I'm not ashamed of it. It's just ridiculous. Their YouTube Gaming was going through that weird transition, right? Where they were half shutting it down and then not shutting it down, and then it was becoming something else, and it just seemed unstable, which has proven to be untrue, but it's how it looked to me at the time.
You can only go by your instincts at the time.
Yeah, and I believe in your instincts at all times. And then I came to Mixer and found Faster Than Light, and mate, it sold it. It absolutely sold it. In that moment, it was sold to me. The idea of being able to react in a ridiculous way to something that had happened in almost an immediate fashion was wonderful.
So for people who don't know, FTL, Fast and Light, is the system that Mixer had a massive advantage over all the other platforms, where the delay would be almost instantaneous. It was like 0.5, I think, back then, 0.5 of a second. The latency, so the amount of time between us doing something and you seeing it would be 0.5, whereas Twitch at the time when I switched over was about 45 seconds.
It was, and they've got that down to about 7 now, but it's still too long for me.
Yeah, still
just big. A little bit too long for me. I like wit, and I like pulling faces, and I like showing emotion with my face and my body in a non-creepy way.
With my body.
With my body. And that's much easier to do if you can do it instantaneously. If somebody says something saucy and you can just look at the camera and pull a little saucy face, that doesn't work if it's 45 seconds after
like, why is he pulling the face? This guy's being weird.
People just start calling ambulances. So that's what sold me on Mixer. And one thing I found with Mixer is it's still close knit. There's a group of people, the streamers that tend to take it seriously. We know each other's names. It's still small enough to do that. And I felt that. I really felt that, and I still do, even to this day, even where we are and everyone else is where they are. I still feel that, I have the people that I know, you know,
you feel like
I want to be
know
part of something too, man. You know, I need a place to belong to, and I have my stream, but outside of that, I still want other places to belong. You know, I that's what I want. And Mixer offers that more so than anything else.
That seems fair.
But you had the same as me. You started on Twitch and came here too.
Yeah, I was on Twitch for longer than you was there for 6 months, right?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, I was there for about 18 months, give or take. And it started to really grow quicker at the end. Towards when I stopped on Twitch, I was pushing sort of into between sort of 40 and 70 viewers. So it was going quite well. A friend of mine suggested that I try Mixer. See, Microsoft had just taken over. I didn't know Microsoft had taken over when I tried, but he said that there's talk about it on the internet, some nonsense like that, and I should try it. So I did a restream. It took me 2 restreams, I think it was, maybe 3, and I just stopped on Twitch completely. I think about 6 people followed me over from Twitch. Some of who still hang out with me every week now, and I'm really, really happy that I've still managed to maintain that connection, because although you've only gone from one platform to the other, sometimes it's like moving to the moon. Yeah. Sometimes you just completely lose touch with people. It was, again, exactly the same as you. It's that low latency between me talking and them, and the way I've always said it is it's the difference between when I was at Twitch, I streamed at people, and now that I'm on Mixer, I stream with people. There was no conversation. I would talk at them. Now I talk with, and that was a huge difference. And like I say, it took 2 streams, and it was a game that I played. I didn't enjoy playing particularly. We've talked about this before. I played Skyrim, was my first stream on Mixer, and it was just night and day on my enjoyment. So I just cut loose completely. Came straight over.
I started with Overwatch when I came here. I think my first stream was Overwatch.
I remember who it was that was making Overwatch popular at the time that you came over, but someone was killing it on Overwatch. And
yeah, I don't remember. I just played it because I was playing it. You know what I mean?
I'm going to use that as take full credit for you now. I take credit for you. I take credit for Overwatch. I take credit for. Yeah, that's
fine. You can have it all.
Mixer has always been a little bit specific game centric. Because I came over when it was Beam. It wasn't Mixer when I came over.
Oh my god, we're doing this again.
Do you want me to go and get my Beam hoodie?
Worse than the Wolverine origin story.
My Beam origin story is the best. That's the best superhero story of them all.
Just you and Cabby.
Me and Cabby in our Beam hoodies and just hanging out by the trees. And there was 4 people that watched us, and it was awesome. No.
Yeah, they were sat down on the grass and you were talking through cups with strings. I know how Beam was.
That's how we streamed.
That's how it started.
I drew a little picture of me playing a game. I left it on a bench. He'd come and pick it up the next day.
Make one of those little cartoon flip books if you were really advanced.
That must have been next level for me. So I don't know.
I reckon so. Yeah, that's above me as well.
All of this nonsense has pushed whatever I was saying out of my head. It was game centric. So when I first came over, it was a Minecraft website. So anyone who wasn't playing Minecraft got basically no views, and then it became an Overwatch, and everyone says it's too Fortnite centric now. Streaming is too Fortnite centric, but it was Overwatch, and then as soon as Overwatch stopped, it was PUBG, and then PUBG went into Fortnite, and Fortnite will go into the next one. So it's always been very sort of centric on one game. So Overwatch was probably just the game when you came over, the game of the moment.
I guess so. I guess so. But like I say, I was just playing it.
Overwatch is a super fun game, and I'd play it every day still, but they ruined it for me. I used to play Symmetra.
It went to a funny place.
They fundamentally changed the only character I could play well.
The one you don't have to aim in?
Oh, my word. Done, mate. Knew you were going to pull that nonsense. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of who Symmetra is and how to play as her. She's a movement...
Well, it is now, because she doesn't do that anymore.
She's a movement-based character. You had to be swift on your feet. You'd have to be positioning. It was less about aiming and more about position and movement, but I ripped people apart. I really enjoyed that.
I played Reinhardt. I walked into the room and swung a hammer. What happened.
It really doesn't surprise me that you would choose the biggest guy on the map. I'm going to be him.
Bring me another. It was literally my life.
You don't know joy until you've put your little turrets around a spawn and then you pin them in there for an entire match.
Oh my god. No, you're the worst kind of player.
I used to have a friend who would play as Mercy, and she would ignore everyone else except for me. She would stand behind me, keeping me alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be ending this podcast here because me and SwordofPoke are no longer friends.
I think 56 kills as a streak was my longest. I loved Overwatch, and I loved my Symmetra, and they ruined her, and I will never forgive Blizzard for as long as I live.
I went to the cinema launch of Overwatch, where they showed all the shorts at the cinema.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I had a really great time. It was at the Odeon, you know, it was a proper cinema.
And
they did it. They did a big. Well, they put them all together, so it was just this big montage of all these stories. You know, you got 200 sweaty nerds in a cinema with these stories going off, and mate, I loved them.
Yeah, no, I would.
I love me a good. I love a hero story. Soldier 76's short is absolutely amazing to me. You know, the old habits die hard kind of trick.
They're also
beautiful. I like that.
That's what I love about them. They're from an animation point of view. They're up there with Disney.
I think they're incredible, and they all come from a place of some sort of hope. You know, even the Bastion PTSD one, they all just come from this place of hope where, you know, they're like, look, it's going to be all right. You know, and I love that stuff. And of course, Reinhardt's is absolutely amazing.
If you're a Bastion, it's not going to be all right. Just want to put that out there.
All right, it says Symmetra.
Symmetra is a level above Bastion. All right.
Oh my god, this is done.
I can't believe you got such
anger. In our trademark podcast ending.
You're not going to say goodbye.
I'm going to bed.
You're just going to go to bed, and I'm just going to walk away.
Just going to go to bed. You go to bed and sulk. You can go and sit in a corner and play with your turrets. So I'm going to go to bed. I'll see you next week, Poke.
Bye, Fen.
Bye.
I should probably go as well. Bye, guys.